Welcome to the program on day 3 of what could be a very volatile and unpredictable election campaign. It's already clear that while policy debate will play some part, this election is a battle of two personalities, two leadership alternatives. But one policy that came back to haunt the opposition leader, Tony Abbott, today was workplace relations, after he declared WorkChoices was dead and buried, but then said he couldn't give an absolute guarantee he'd keep every single aspect of the federal government's workplace laws in place. The apparent confusion in his message was seized upon by the new Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, but despite a big lead in the latest opinion poll today, she too has demons to face, and I'll be talking with her shortly. Queensland and New South Wales will be the key battlegrounds, and we'll take a closer look at both over the course of the campaign. But first tonight, this report from political editor Heather Hewitt.
Tony Abbott, good morning.
Morning now.
Beautiful day.
Thank you for being on 60 Minutes.
Thank you very much.
Tony Abbott, good morning to you.
Morning to you too, Lisa.
Together, let's move Australia forward.
Moving forward is what they'll hate before the end of the campaign.
Fabulous.
They say every vote counts, and with the electoral rolls around the country closing tonight, Labor has been determined to woo whatever unregistered voter it can get.
Today is the last day to get on the electoral roll if you haven't enrolled yet.
We are very busy and we are, as you can see from behind me, being inundated with enrolment forms.
The Electoral Commission estimates there are 1.4 million Australians eligible to vote who aren't enrolled at the moment, and 1/3 of them are in the crucial state of Queensland, where there are 16 seats with margins under 5%.
A few hundred votes one way or the other could change those seats, so a few hundred extra people on the roll could make the difference.
Don't mind us.
Little wonder then that Julia Gillard spent most of the day in the seat of Herbert in Townsville.
I believe it's going to be a photo finish here and right around the country.
The worrying thing for Labor is that the Coalition's vote in Queensland, its primary vote, which apparently is about 3 or 4% higher than in the rest of the country, hasn't come down hardly at all. So you've still got about 7 or 8 seats that are in play for Labor, and there are seats that Labor is worried about and thinks they could lose.
While Labor was buoyed by today's news poll in the Australian newspaper, giving it a 10-point lead on the Coalition after preferences, the party's hardheads know that doesn't apply to Queensland. That's why both leaders will beat a well-worn track to the Sunshine State throughout this campaign. While Julia Gillard was in Townsville today, Tony Abbott was in Melbourne, and it didn't take long for the endless round of radio and TV interviews both leaders are doing to produce the first campaign stumble. Tony Abbott had been insisting WorkChoices was dead and buried.
I have an election to win. It's the 2010 election. And as I said, WorkChoices is dead, it's buried, it's cremated.
Only this morning, Tony Abbott let the cat out of the bag on WorkChoices on morning television. When he was asked whether he would bring it back, he said he had an election to win.
The whole truth and nothing but
Dead,
the truth?
buried, cremated.
Written down?
Give me a bit of paper, I'll sign it here. Dead, buried, cremated. Dead, buried, cremated.
This is the first contract of the election campaign, and it's an awful gimmick.
Gimmicks, political spin and slogans will all feature prominently in this campaign, as will each side's intense monitoring of each other's interviews. Tony Abbott's version of dead and buried was later qualified with this comment and quickly seized upon by his opponents.
Obviously, I can't give an absolute guarantee about every single aspect of workplace relations legislation, but WorkChoices is gone now and forever.
It's abundantly clear that if Mr Abbott became Prime Minister, the worst aspects of WorkChoices would be back.
It's not the start the opposition might have hoped for, but as both sides try to neutralise the issues that are tricky for them, today's tit-for-tat argument over WorkChoices pretty much sets the tone for how this campaign will work. Don't expect grand, inspiring speeches from our leaders on the big issues.
I mean, the electorate always dreams of hearing some visionary propositions being put forward by their political leaders, It seems clear already, although we've still got 5 weeks to go, but it seems clear already that that's not what the electorate is going to hear.
Well, I'm running for office and I'm running to get here. Thank you.
As Tony Abbott arrived at a function to address the Australian Jewish community in Melbourne this afternoon, it was Peter Costello who stole the show as he made light of Labor's sloganeering.
No amount of moronic repetition of moving forward will overcome the fact that there is a record there and that record needs to be carefully assessed in relation to the forthcoming election.
I mean, there's nothing in the literature of mass communication that says endless repetition of the same words is a good idea. What we know is that repetition with constant variation is a good idea, but if you just have a set of words and you keep saying them over and over again, people just either laugh in a scornful way or switch off.
But the slogan is here to stay and will no doubt be dragged out again and again when there's a debate between the leaders at the National Press Club, which is being negotiated for this Sunday night. That's the same night more than 2 million viewers will be watching the final of Channel 10's popular show, MasterChef. Labor's preferred timing for the debate doesn't look to be any coincidence.
Political editor Heather